How are you, Well, you good?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you?
I'm okay. I had a feeling like you are a normal person, but I was like, maybe not, You see
Yeah,
the
no,
types of people we have to deal with sometimes. So
yeah. No,
that's
I appreciate that. I was a little bit hesitant to turn on the camera, but I thought
that's
I'm
fine.
pretty eager to chat to you, so I thought, why not?
Okay. How can I help you? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've just got a few questions, but before I dive into them, I just want to say thanks for having me on. I'm a pretty big fan of the show. I've been watching you for a while. I'm not Muslim, but I find your content super interesting. So, yeah, I've been watching you for about 6, 8 months. I think I've pretty much watched all your videos by now.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words.
So my first, I'm not Muslim, as I've said. I come from a Christian background,
Hmm.
but Islam has kind of always interested me. I'm not exactly sure why.
Hmm.
I pretty much started researching it about a year ago. Came across your channel, and I've become increasingly more interested in it. I guess my first question is about Muhammad.
Hmm.
So I was curious as to what evidence there is that he was like a real, like is there a lot of historical evidence to prove that he's like a real person. I had this conversation with someone the other day, and I assumed that there was a lot of evidence. I kind of did a little bit of research into it, but I'm pretty interested in just getting your take on it.
Yeah, like there is no credible historian on the face of the earth that would even dare say Prophet Muhammad didn't exist.
Oh,
For the
really? Okay.
amount, yeah. Like this is why you only get Christians. I know that this person you're talking to is a Christian, and he watches some idiots somewhere on YouTube, and then they told him that, and then he went thinking he's got an argument, and then telling you, you know what? There's no evidence that, like, if you want to compare the evidences for Jesus, which they got nothing from his time at all,
Yeah.
zero, the earliest full manuscripts 400 years later. How would a Christian even make a claim about historicity to do with anyone's existence?
Right.
It's just
Okay.
it's insane in my mind. The evidence of Prophet Muhammad SAW is like innumerable, as I said. Like there is like just like simple facts. There's coins, very early coins from the first century that you can research and find, which has the name
Okay.
La ilaha illallah, which has La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasul. There's the fact that Prophet ﷺ himself is buried in in Saudi Arabia today. He's been buried, and no one would dare to come close to his grave, anyways, because it's always protected 24 hours from
Right.
the time he died until this day. This was always the case. No one would be able to dare to move it or do anything to it. The fact
Mm,
that we got so many artifacts that are around the Kaaba and that has La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah is nothing worthy of worship except Allah. Prophet Muhammad is the messenger of God. People writing the names, writing their dates, and all of it is carbon dated to at the time of the Prophet Islam, early to Islam. The fact that we have the Quran itself, the Birmingham manuscript, which is carbon dated to the life of the Prophet
yeah.
Islam. We have the rest of the Quran from the first century, which mentions the Prophet Islam and says Muhammadun Rasulullah, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, which is literally what the Quran says. The fact that the Prophet Islam sent letters to many kings that we still have them today, like the king of Bahrain. They still have his letter. If you go to the airport of Bahrain, they have a copy of it there. People can see. Like I can list innumerable amount
Right.
of the fact that the external sources, like an Indian king that spoke about the Prophet Islam, and even Indians have that history recorded. The fact that the Greek Roman Empire spoke about the Prophet Islam. There was a man called Muhammad, and he arose in this specific location, calling people to worship God. Like that's why I say, look, it would be the most ridiculous. Like there is more evidence that Prophet Muhammad SAW existed than more of any of our grandfathers combined.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
if you want to prove to me your great grandfather exists, you're not going to be able to bring me evidence for that. That he was
Okay.
there. You show me a picture, I'll tell you, okay, that's not evidence. It could be someone else.
Right.
That if you have a picture from that time, anyways, there's not even pictures. So there is no one who is meticulously as recorded as the Prophet SAW. What we have, which is hadith, if maybe you heard the term before, all of it is just
Yeah.
about his life, what he was doing,
Yeah.
where he went, what he said. So these hundreds of thousands of writings, literally tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of books written about hadith and what the Prophet ﷺ did and what he didn't do, what his companions said. Like you have to be like the amount of delusion you need to have to deny the existence of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is insane, from my own personal opinion.
Interesting.
That's what I would say.
Okay, that makes sense. The reason this came up is because when I was having this conversation with this person,
Mm,
I'd watched one of your videos previously about how Muhammad is, I can't remember the correct phrase, but the
mhm.
most influential figure in the world ever, right? Um, So
I don't know if I
when
ever use that term, but yeah. But maybe you can tell me what your question is, and then
yeah,
you can
yeah,
say.
yeah. Apologies. Maybe you didn't say it, but I
No, no,
had
no, it's okay.
heard someone say it.
Yeah.
And when you Google it, Muhammad does come up, right? It's something along those lines, like who's the most influential figure across history, which I find pretty interesting. So when we started speaking about that, that's how that came up. And then I've watched one of your videos previously about how people have questioned the authenticity or the intentions of Muhammad. And I remember you talking about, typical critiques you get are, he was after money, after power, potentially he was schizophrenic, etc.
Yeah.
And when I was speaking to this person, they kind of hit me back with, well, this person could have been not necessarily schizophrenic, but could have had, like, I don't know what the correct phrase is, but like delusions of grandeur, right? And he still could have been able to have done or achieved what he did. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, to me, it sounded pretty ridiculous, but again, I'm just pretty interested to hear your
But I
thoughts
want to
on
know
it.
the claim. But the funny thing is this. This is my advice to you: be not to talk to the individuals like the one you're talking to, because this guy you're talking to, he's taken from. I know where he's taken all of his information from, because it's always, as
Okay.
I said to you, it's a recycled source. They go to one or two YouTubers, right? And they listen to what they say, and then they come thinking they have an argument, say it to all the Muslims, and they get refuted. And even though those same YouTubers that they talk about have been refuted, numerous times on YouTube, they still go thinking that these things are not refuted. But the thing is, I want your claim. Is your claim illusions of grandeur? What is the claim, the psychological analysis of that friend psychiatric who thinks he's a psychiatric? What is his like professional view? Because you cannot just make a number, because things are different from
Yeah.
another. Being in
Yeah.
delusion is not the same as being bipolar. It's not the same as being having illusions of grandeur. These are all separate things that mean separate things that should show separate symptoms. So what is the
Yeah.
claim?
So let's say it's schizophrenia, right? Like mild.
Okay, define what schizophrenia is and what is its sciences.
I
It's
mean,
signs
again,
or symptoms.
I'm very ignorant to it, but it's just someone who
I'm not a psychiatric. I'll tell you as much, right? Because the thing,
Yeah.
this is the thing. Look, you will get idiots like this. Trust me. They've never studied psychology or psychiatry, anything to do with psychological disorders, and they will come and they become the doctors of the 21st century. You know, they become the father of modern psychology all of a sudden, and they want to tell you that, okay, this is my professional analysis of how Prophet Muhammad was. I simply sit back, like I'm sitting back with you like this, and relax, put my back, and then I say, okay, you define to me what is the meaning of schizophrenia, what are the signs of schizophrenia, so we can then look at the Prophet ﷺ and then give me evidences where these signs which actually there. Because I should not take any claim seriously until you provide me first of the reasons. What is your claim, and where is the proof of your claim, so I can respond to you to begin with. How can I respond to an empty claim? Do you get the point? If you yourself wouldn't know the definition, which they don't know the definition or the symptoms, but they're just making the claim because they don't want to accept the Prophet Muhammad as a messenger of God, then why would I waste my time on them even?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what the person was trying to say, that potentially Muhammad could have theoretically had, been able to operate in daily life, but at certain periods had like, what's the right word? Like visions, but they're like delusions, if you know what I mean. It's him like, do you get where I'm going?
Okay, if they were delusions, did he just have a vision and that's it, or did he have a vision that contained information? There was Quran, there was literature, which we're presenting already today to be from God. If he had an encounter, he had encounters to get revelation. That was the encounter, and he recited the revelation after he got the encounter. So if he was delusional, then what you should be doing is investigating the text that came and proving that he was delusional. He was just making up certain things. Then the Arabs would have brought something like the Quran, would have already disproved it, and people would have already disproved it for 1,400 years. If it was just delusion and not just actual revelation come from God. And all the messengers of God received revelation. Even that Christian who believes in Christianity has to believe that all the prophets of God had received the revelation, inspiration from God.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting.
Like with a delusional person, if his son dies, if I'm delusional, right? I'm delusionally thinking I'm the messenger of God, assuming me. My son dies, and solar eclipse happens at the same time my son dies. Okay, so not me, people around me, they start saying this happened because your son died. It's a sign that you are a messenger of God. And I'm delusional already about me being a messenger of God. Why would I respond? Why would I say? It's not me even who made the claim. They made it on my behalf. They said, you know what?
Yeah.
This happened because you are a messenger of God. I will, of course, take the opportunity, isn't it? First thing I would do is say, yeah, of course, it's me, because I'm the prophet of God. That's why God did this because of me. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when his son Ibrahim died and there was an eclipse, he said this does not happen for the life or death of anyone. And he said this is a sign of God. If you see a rush to thanking God or praising God or praying to him, a delusional person, this will be the best, because he doesn't even need to make a claim. A delusion is something who believes in something strongly without evidences or against common sense and reasoning. So when you get someone who's already given you, like, he's making it easier for you, they're even giving you the reasoning to believe in that which you already believe, of course, you'll jump on the first opportunity. Now, the idea of illusions of grandeur as another example, this is, you would look at his life. He is spending 2 or 3 months without food and just water and dates for 2 months, his wife says, just on water and dates. The fact is, when people entered, they used to not know who the Prophet was. They used to ask, where is Prophet Muhammad? Because he's sitting, he looks like everyone else. There is no chair where he's sitting on top of it, that he is the king, he is the master, he's the leader. Prophet forbade his companions from standing up to him when he enters, because there was this habit the kings used to do. They said to the Prophet, the Roman and Persian king, whenever someone enters, everyone stands up. Whenever the king enters, everyone stands up. So they said, we want to do the same. The Prophet forbade them. We don't stand up for me. Does this sound like someone who's got delusions of grandeur? Like, this is like, this is what I'm saying. Look at, because I know what these things are. So I'm showing you how ridiculous they are. But when they come and they claim schizophrenia, they don't even know what these things are. Like psychology, these were their symptoms. They just come and just waffle something. And then they expect me to respond to it, or expect Muslims to respond to it. We don't even care. Like, because these are as ridiculous as they are. Why would 2 billion people in the world, why would hundreds of thousands of people follow someone that had a psychological disorder and die for him from his time until today? And this genius Christian is the one who discovered he's got the psychological disorder. And 2 billion Muslims who've been following him, and the people who died for him, who lived with him, they did not notice it.
Okay, interesting. That helps a lot. So another question, I'm glad you brought up the hadiths. I've read a decent percentage of the Quran. I haven't read it in full. I think I've read about, let's say, a third of it. I find, again, I'm super ignorant and new to all of this, but I find it really interesting. I find some elements of the Quran pretty like inaccessible, or in the sense that I appreciate there's a lot more depth to a lot of the passages, etc. Right? But I've read like quotes and stuff. I'm not sure what the name of the book is, but I bought it on Amazon, and it's basically got like quotes from Muhammad, and I find that those are a lot more accessible to me. I was curious as to whether or not you knew if that was pretty common. So essentially, going by what the Muhammad is a lot easier for me to understand the overall message rather than directly from the Quran.
No, I think you should start with the Quran, because because the hadith is tens of thousands of hadith and literature. Is what you can do is you can start with the Quran, and if you want, there are books that are explanations of the Quran that brings relevant text from the life of the Prophet ﷺ to do with these verses. If you want to do that, they're called tafsir, for example, and they're available even in English. So that you can do that if you come across something that you're not familiar with. But you cannot really start and finish the hadith, because it's like, as I said, I've not read all the hadith, So let alone like people who just like entering into the Islam, because there are tens of thousands.
Interesting.
So you focus on reading the Quran as a message, and the main message of the Quran is clear. When you read it, you'll understand it. But if you come across something, you come and ask questions, and then you will be given the historical context, meaning of the verses, etc., which is related to these things you're reading,
Okay, interesting. Cool. My next question is, why do you think, and I appreciate this is a pretty big question, why do you think Islam has got such a bad rep? Because I've researched like Buddhism in the past, a lot of these different religions, and people have found it kind of admirable, right? But when I've started mentioning Islam to some people around me have started panicking and freaking out.
I can imagine,
So people have started saying to me like, oh, do you not care about women's rights? Do you not think women are important? All that typical stuff. So I'm just curious as to why you think this is the case. Like, for example, one of the things that someone has, and I know you've put videos together about women's rights in Islam, but there seems to be this really, really strong impression that, Muslim men mistreat their wives, like, for example.
I get like the general point of view of what you're saying. Like, so the thing is this, like, when something is the truth, like, even this is what I usually say to Christians. Okay, you're a Christian. Would people accepting of Jesus or enemy of Jesus? Most of the people at his time. Were they his
enemies.
enemies, or were the people who open him or welcome him with open arms? This is always the case with the truth. People do not want the truth, especially when the truth is hard. It restricts your desires. Do not drink, do not smoke, do not have intercourse before marriage, this and this and that. Why would I want that, right? I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to do whatever I want to do. So the more people accept that, the more it's a problem. It might become a Muslim country, and then if it's a Muslim country, these laws will be applied, and I want to do whatever I want to do. No, this is that. I don't want this. So just the first point is that the truth is always attacked. This is the case. Second thing is there's many people who have an agenda, and they have been doing an agenda since, like, for example, September 1 in certain part of the world. Right? They've been doing an agenda trying to make Muslims look in a specific way, using media, brainwashing the people, newspapers and media, and this and that specifically. Now it's completely different because people can see social media and actually hear what Muslims believe and engage with people and hear the other point of view. But back then, it was just TV and newspaper. Whatever you're told, you believe. You think this is the truth. So it was the easiest thing to brainwash the masses. So yeah, they made people link the idea of terror or evil or being violent to Islam. They did that. What the media did. How did they do that? In many ways. For example, whenever anyone commits a crime, if he's a Christian, they're not going to say Catholic murders X, Y, and Z. They're not going to use the term terrorist for him. They're not going to use that term. They're going to say he has psychological issues, hate crime. You'll use any other term other than that term. Whenever anyone who is Muslim, not even Muslim, not Muslim anymore, but was to be a Muslim in the past, has an uncle, cousin, the nephew of someone who is a Muslim, then they will label it as, look, Muslim does this, and that. Right? Why? Because this is a tactic. The more you read in the news, the more you read Muslim doing this, Muslim, then that is something that Muslims do. So you will start linking this with Islam and Muslim. Of course, yeah, they also start using videos of people doing things which are incorrect or being abusive to women or this or that, or lie about stats, and they show, oh, look, this Muslim's doing that. And they keep showing you that. They keep showing you that. When you keep seeing something, this is how brainwashing works, basically. You keep hearing the same thing. You keep seeing the same thing. You have to believe it. You start believing it. You start, okay, this has to be true. It cannot be not true if there is so much evidences that is showing that it is. Everyone is saying the same thing. Everyone is literally just the media that is bought by a specific group of people that I'm not going to talk about now. They shall not be named. But anyways, these group of people, right? So they are the ones who controlling essentially what the media says. So the media appears as many people, or is just one person actually repeating the same nonsense. So that is how, because they have an agenda against Islam. And the fact that these societies are capitalistic. There's many reasons. I'm just going to end with this one, but there are many, right? These societies are capitalistic. So capitalism wants banks, selling of alcohol, gambling, and all of these things. And the more people accept Islam, no one is going to gamble. No one is going to buy your alcohol anymore. No one is going to do interest and usury, because all of your banks deal with interest and usury, and you're losing money. No one is taking your loans anymore. The high interest loans of certain individuals. No one is going to take this anymore, right? No, there's no more modern slavery of like taking these loans and then you become our slave. So yeah, there's many reasons, as I mentioned to you. But the funny thing about women is that the fact is that from every 4 people that accept Islam, 3 are women. And the reason they do, and this is what shows that these people are lying. And the reason they do is because they actually read. They do the research. They hear a lot of bad things. So let me actually find out, like, do they actually deal with women this way? Why do they actually deal with women this way? They start reading. They open the Quran, they open the Hadith, they open something from a Muslim source, they hear a video. They realize that what they've been hearing was nonsense. So they end up accepting Islam. So the biggest way to disprove this idea is to say that why are the biggest people who accept Islam choose, not we're saying birth rate, we're saying conversion rate, are women. According to Pew Research and many other people, right? Why are they women? Why is it majority women? The Daily Mail, they said the same thing, published a study about the same thing. So why are they women accepting Islam? 3 times as men, like 70%. Why is this the case? This just refutes your idea, because and there was other study that I believe was done that showed on average, it was done in one of the universities, that showed on average that people studied Islam, I think in parts of America, studied Islam for an average of like 6 or 7 years before they accepted Islam. So it's not just randomly people who accepted Islam, but the people who've been grappling with the idea of Islam for a very long time, And if 70% of them are women, then Islam must be the opposite of what you're claiming to be.
Okay, interesting. This is important to me. So I'm really big on animal welfare.
Yes.
Cool. So I'm really big on animal welfare. I'm curious as to what Islam's stance is on that.
Yeah, animal welfare, like a Prophet ﷺ says, Inna Allah katab al-ihsan ala kulli shay. Allah has written goodness over everything. So if you slaughter an animal, then you have to slaughter it with kindness, with goodness. And then he forbade you, for example, he said you have to sharpen your knife, because if you sharpen the knife, then if it's very sharp, you don't feel the pain. You know, that's why when you have a sharp knife, you're cutting vegetables, you cut yourself, you don't even feel it until later on, because if it's so sharp, you don't even feel the pain. And the place where animals are slaughtered, for example, from an Islamic point of view, you cut the blood going to the brain, which there is no more nerves that are there, so you don't feel the pain. Unlike what they do in the West, electrocuting animals and gassing them and this and that, which shows that the studies show that you can feel pain until like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you know, that these animals are going to continue to suffer. So if you slaughter one animal, keep the other animal completely away from it.
Yeah.
There's also a narration of when a prophet, he was like bitten by an ant or something similar, and then he found the colony, he destroyed the whole thing. So Allah told him, why? It's not only with the one that harmed you kill it, but why did you destroy the whole colony? Why did you destroy the whole thing? And hunting for the fun and this and that is completely prohibited from an Islamic point of view. Okay. Yeah, it's not sport, killing animals, you playing games and this, and there's no such thing in an Islamic point of view. So goodness and kindness have been written on everything. And animals, even, as I said, insects, even, there is like rights for them in a way, if you want to put it that way. Rights, you know, I don't say rights is the right term, but like good treatment with them, you know. So yeah, this is the Islamic kind of point of view. It's the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. And yeah, that's why there's a very popular narration about a woman that was like, she was a sinner, and then she was walking and she found a dog that is like his tongue is out, he's thirsty. She went to the well, she used her shoes, and she gave that dog water, and then Allah thanked her for the action, and he forgave her. Okay. He forgave the bad sins, the bad deeds, the prostitution, or whatever she was doing. He forgave her just for that specific action that she did. And there's also another hadith that a woman, she locked a cat, and that cat starved to death, and that woman entered hellfire because of that action. So Islam, there's so many things like this, obviously, that I can mention, but yeah, this is how Islam looks at goodness. Is written upon everything, all the creation for Allah Azza wa Jal. We have to treat with goodness and kindness and fairness.
Very interesting. Cool. I'll definitely be looking into that more.
No problem.
I've got 1,000 more questions for you, but I appreciate you've got other people. But yeah.
Oh, you can come another time. You can come another stream. You're welcome to come. You're respectful. You ask questions. I'm happy for you to come back.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So, how often do you stream? Because this is the first time I've actually caught you on a live.
Yeah, I don't usually do it early, because that's why maybe you caught me today. But generally, it's towards the evening and in the weekends. Usually, most of the time it's like this, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, weekend. Most of the time it's like this. But it is not a specific set schedule.
Cool. Awesome.
I appreciate you. Okay, I'll let you go.
See you later.
Nice talking to you. Nice talking to you. Okay.
Bye.